He was a genius, a rebel, a violinist, and he never wore socks. Albert Einstein wasn't just the man behind ERMC2. He was a full-blown curiosity machine. Number 10. He didn't speak until he was 4. Albert Einstein is mostly remembered as a man of few words, even though he was famous for his scientific theories that literally changed the world. But what many people don't know is that Einstein didn't speak much as a kid either. His parents said that they couldn't get him to talk much at all, and that he rarely formed complete sentences until he was 4 years old. This worrying lack of verbal ability prompted his mother to seek help from a local doctor, who diagnosed little Albert with a speech impediment. This led to years of speech therapy to help Einstein learn how to communicate more effectively. And although he never became a particularly chatty or expressive person, he did eventually overcome his speech difficulties. Today, some children who exhibit similar symptoms to young Einstein are diagnosed with what is referred to as Einstein syndrome. Number 9. He failed a college entrance exam. One of the most well-known facts about Albert Einstein is that he was a child prodigy in mathematics. Even as a kid, he was already solving complex equations that most adults wouldn't be able to figure out. So it might come as a surprise that when Einstein applied to college, he actually failed the entrance exam. The year was 1896, and 16-year-old Einstein was hoping to attend the prestigious Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich. But despite acing the math section of the entrance exam, he ended up failing in language and history. It was only after repeating the exam a year later that he was finally accepted into the Polytechnic. Number 8. He was offered the presidency of Israel. Although Albert Einstein was born in Germany and spent most of his early life there, he was Jewish and therefore eligible to immigrate to Israel if he so desired. In fact, in 1952, he was offered the presidency of the newly formed State of Israel, an offer that came with Israeli citizenship and the title of honorary colonel in the Israeli Defense Forces. However, Einstein turned down the offer, saying that he lacked the necessary people skills to be a good president. Number 7. EMC2 revolutionized physics. Of all of Albert Einstein's many scientific contributions, perhaps his most famous is his theory of relativity, which includes the now iconic equation E equals mc squared. Although the equation looks deceptively simple, its implications are far-reaching. Published in 1905, it essentially showed that mass and energy are interchangeable and that one can be converted into the other. This groundbreaking idea has had a profound impact on our understanding of the universe and is the reason why nuclear power is even possible. For this and other contributions to physics, Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1921. Number 6. He married his first cousin. Like many famous people, Albert Einstein's personal life was often just as dramatic as his professional one. Take, for example, his marriage to his first wife, Mileva Maric. The two met while attending the Swiss Federal Polytechnic and were married soon after graduation. But their relationship was not a happy one, and they ultimately divorced in 1919. Fortunately for Einstein, his second wife would also be named Elsa. She was not only his first wife's name, but also his first cousin once removed. Yes, you heard that right. Albert Einstein married his first cousin. Although the two were technically not too closely related, their small circle of relatives in Europe meant that it was not uncommon for cousins to marry. In fact, it was not unheard of for first cousins to marry even in the United States during the early 20th century, even though it is now illegal in many states. Number 5. His brain was stolen. In April of 1955, Albert Einstein died of a brain hemorrhage at the age of 76. Although his death was relatively peaceful, what happened to his body afterward was anything but. You see, the pathologist who performed the autopsy on Einstein's body removed and preserved his brain without the permission of his family. He then kept the brain in a jar in his own home for nearly a decade, until it was discovered by an investigative journalist. It was only then that the brain was returned to Einstein's family, who promptly had it cremated and scattered in the sea. To this day, exactly who ordered the brain to be removed and why it was kept for so long remains a mystery. But the story doesn't end there. Over the years, bits of Einstein's stolen brain were given to various scientists, who studied it in hopes of finding some physical basis for his genius. One researcher even claimed that Einstein's brain was 10% larger than average, while another said that it had an unusually high number of glial cells. However, none of these studies turned up any definitive answers, and much of what these so-called experts have said is now considered to be unscientific and untrue. Number 4. He was a pacifist until World War II. Throughout his life, Albert Einstein was a vocal pacifist and opponent of war. This is perhaps not surprising given the horrific devastation that war can bring. But in 1939, Einstein's views on the subject changed dramatically. That year, he wrote a letter to U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning him of the potential for Nazi Germany to develop atomic weapons. This letter would ultimately lead to the creation of the Manhattan Project, which successfully developed the first atomic weapons, and Einstein himself would later come to regret his decision to write the letter. Number 3, he was a refugee from Nazi Germany. Although Albert Einstein was born in Germany in 1879, he renounced his German citizenship in 1925. 5 years later, when Hitler came to power, Einstein was forced to flee the country and become a refugee in neighboring Switzerland. From there, he eventually made his way to the United States, where he would settle permanently. Number 2, he wasn't a fan of socks. Albert Einstein was many things: a brilliant physicist, a devoted humanitarian, and an all-around interesting guy. But if you ever had the chance to meet him, you probably wouldn't want to talk about socks. You see, Einstein famously hated wearing socks and went so far as to go sockless for most of his life. He even reportedly told a friend once that he found socks to be nothing more than an unnecessary and annoying piece of clothing. Number 1, he was a violinist. Though best known for his scientific genius, Albert Einstein was also a lover of music. In his spare time, he liked to play the violin, often performing pieces by Mozart and Bach. Einstein began playing the violin as a child and continued to do so throughout his life. He even said that he found playing the violin to be a relaxing and enjoyable experience, which allowed him to think more clearly or work out difficult problems. Albert Einstein once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." And after learning about his life, it's easy to see why. He wasn't just a scientist, he was a dreamer, a thinker, a symbol of curiosity that never quit. So if you loved discovering these incredible facts, do us a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a trip down the rabbit hole of history, science, and mystery. Thanks for watching, and remember, curiosity didn't kill the cat. It made Einstein a legend. See you in the next one.